Hey folks, back again on the 11th of July 2017. Another day has gone by, obviously since I last posted. And I guess I first off just wanted to kind of just talk about just life in general because I'm feeling pretty stressed out at this point. Um, what can I say? I'm still down here trying to get back up north. They have some job interviews and I want to get up there and just get some sort of job. I mean, it's probably not going to be some glorious thing. It's probably not going to be engineering related. It's like I'm at that point where like I feel like I should be doing that kind of thing. In part because it'll pay enough and it'll be, in my line of work. And I just kind of been at this for a while, trying to get that point. But, putting in applications and it's kind of like a frustrating, annoying, stressful part to it because, not only do I have to proofread everything over like a gazillion times to make sure that I don't make some sort of mistake that, get someone off like in a wrong direction and wanting to just not even contact me. But there's also the fact that, after I go through all that, I'm basically applying through my university's job listings website. And with a lot of these jobs, like I'll put the application, I'll finally get it, everything set the way I, feel it needs to be. Put everything in there, and then it says, oh, there's another step, and you have to go to either the company's website or so and apply through that. And it's like this compliance thing they have, and it's not like a simple, point and click sort of deal. You got to fill in, one field after the next, and it's just kind of stressful because I have been sitting there for like an hour or so already getting everything set up, and then it turns out that I have to do even more for that. It's not like there's any guarantee, that I put the application in, fill out every single field in the application, and bam, I get a response or something like that. That doesn't happen, 9 times out of 10. And try not to look back at the past and remember that quality engineering intern positions I could have had that ended up like really conflicting with my travel plans and how they ended up hiring the other person. Try not to think about that too much, especially since time is ticking away, and I need to have a certain amount of money so I can pay for my school. And if I don't, then I'm off by even another year, and it just feels like everything's kind of falling apart, And with all the stress and anxiety and negativity building up, even after 5 months of being on hard mode, that part of me that was addicted is starting to come back and feeling like, like it would just feel so good to go back into that state of mind and that state of living and that routine because it would feel good. It would feel good in the moment, and so much of it has to do with, I think, the fact that not only, with the facts of life being what they are, but the fact that I'm back here and I'm back in this environment. Like my only little bit of freedom really at this point is just coming out to here and sitting down for a while, maybe reading or making a vlog or so, or just trying to chill out, getting lots of heartburn, stressed out, not feeling motivated to exercise at all. Even though logically I know I probably just have to go out and go for a run or go for a walk just to burn off some stress, so to speak, just for the sake of my health, But so it's like I've gotten more and more obsessive with the whole job application deal because it's like that's my way out. That's my way out of all this, garbage and the way forward because as much as I might have side projects that I do that could potentially make money for me or make an income, the only seemingly guaranteed way is just to get a job, and I'm working on that, but things haven't really been happening lately, and it's like I don't want to think that I had my one opportunity and I messed it up for the summer, because messing it up for the summer means messing it up for the rest of the year in reality. Unless I'm willing to, I don't know, do some other thing about it. And that's what brings me to the second half of my vlog for today. We're reading more of the 48 Laws of Power. I'm on Law 40, and it's titled Despise the Free Lunch, or Learn to Despise the Free Lunch. And, you know, it's really kind of relevant, you could say, because the spot that I'm in, let me get up for a second. I'm going to switch around because the sun is that direction and get better lighting. But the spot that I'm in right now, and not just like physically, but even financially speaking, it's kind of like how I'm at home right now. I don't have to pay for food. I don't have to pay for housing. Excuse me, I'm going to have to go back up north and just secure my rent for the next month or two. But, you know, I don't have to do that. I don't have to go out each day and, you know, swipe my credit card somewhere to get some food. But in exchange for that, I have to give up so much freedom, and I have to contend with so much stress and anxiety and all these, like, responsibilities being put on my shoulders, which in reality shouldn't be my responsibility because I'm 30 years old. My sister's like 27. My mom's, you know, middle-aged. You know, my father's middle-aged. Like, they should be in many ways able to take care of a lot of things for themselves, but, you know, I'm expected to be like the constantly stressed out, constantly anxious, constantly under pressure, home caregiver. And that was that way last week, and it was starting to be that way the week before that, because, you know, my dad got me to come down here. He just corralled me into this and kind of like tied me up here in a sense. And I'm really feeling that kind of the stress, the anxiety, even you could say the depression that I was feeling back when I lived here. But, you know, it's this whole exchange system. I get the free meal, I get the free, you know, room and board, I get all that kind of stuff, but what do I have to give up in exchange for that? And it's just like with PMO. You can get that pleasure, you can get that experience, you can pretend like you're having sex with that ideal woman who doesn't really exist, and you can be up in fantasy land pretending like, you know, you don't have to deal with rejection, you don't have to deal with the sordid past or present or even future of, you know, the girl you're interested in or what have you. You don't have to deal with all the jealousy, the insecurities, the downside or the night side or the dark side of, you know, relationships and whatnot. You can just go off to fantasy land PMO and get your hit, you know. And, you know, that's like that's if you could say the positive side, that's like what draws people into, you know. But then there's the negative side of all the anxiety and depression and the physical damage, you could even say, to the cardiovascular system, to your, you know, your muscular system, all that kind of stuff. Your reproductive system is being damaged when you go and you PMO and you binge. But, you know, it's this whole exchange system. I mean, it's, you know, in some ways it's like kind of like a free lunch for your sexual side, you know. And the struggle in many ways, you know, beyond all the other things that I've talked about and other, you know, Nofap YouTubers have talked about, people on the forums have talked about, it's the fact that you have to learn to despise this free lunch. You know, you're not having to go out there and deal with all the complications, all the dark side of human relationships. And whether that's, you know, the possibility of getting rejected, the possibility of being embarrassed out in society, the possibility of, even if you get to go on a date or two or three, you get into a relationship, you get access to sex, you know, all that kind of stuff. Even if you get all those sorts of things, there's always that other possibility that the girl turns out to be, you know, psychotic or abusive, or she has a past she's hiding from you, or she's a cheater, or what have you, you know. And you go up to PMO line, you don't gotta deal with that. At least not in the immediate sense. I mean, it does, you know, in its negatives, it does amplify all those feelings of inadequacy and anxiety and depression and, you know, self-loathing and etc. But, you know, you have to learn to despise that free lunch, not just because of the immediate negative effects, but the fact that, you know, that mentality of getting all caught up in that, really, it denies you the chance to have the real and good experience of an actual relationship and so on. And I'm relating this even back to my job search, because there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of stress and anxiety related to having to find a way to pay for school, the fact that they're not going to be giving me any more loans, or grants or what have you, for reasons that in reality don't make sense. I paid for most of my education. I haven't taken out as much loan money or grant money as they want to pretend that I have, but or interpret it as, But there's all of that kind of stuff involved, and it's like I could throw in the towel, I could quit, I could give up, and in the moment it might feel good. I would end up losing my relationship with my girlfriend, which would suck. But there's that side of me that would find some sort of strange pleasure or release in the fact that I'd given up, that I had thrown in the towel, that I had accepted defeat. But in the long run, I can only see myself feeling utter misery, It would open myself up to inevitable amounts of, large amounts of attack, emotional attack from my mother and my sister and my father and just relatives and all sorts of people. And then of course there's the part of myself that would, feel like crap about myself. And in the past I've tried to reason myself to having lower standards and etc. But I know myself well enough now, and I know that I can't give up. I can't just throw in the towel and somehow try to rationalize away, the fact that I never lived up to those dreams. And I don't think I could ever be like, a great husband or father or a man, really, alpha, beta, whatever. I couldn't really be an actual secure man if I had given up and thrown in the towel on these, kinds of things. Even though there's that free lunch of defeat and defeatism and fatalism and so on. And it's part of the whole Nofap journey, really, because relapsing to PMO was symbolized to me that I had let it all get to me, that I had let it all kill me, basically, that I let it kill that newer, better, stronger version of myself, which I had built up and had, slowly allowed to replace the past negative, weak version of myself. And that I had let PMO come back, take over my life, and destroy that, that version of myself that I, always wanted to have, always wanted to be. And I can't do that. I don't know how I'm gonna succeed at this, but I have to keep on going. And we all need to keep on going. I see the 24/7 Betterman, for instance, he relapsed, and he had some sort of live, video lately. I didn't get to see it. I think I was like 5 minutes too late or something like that. But just, the title was something along the lines of, is this the last live video or so? I'd say to him and others like him that, they're in this situation, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. A lot of this has to do with digging deep and really realizing like what the heck is going on. Because a lot of the folks I see in Nofap, they're in their 20s. They're young 20-year-olds, 20-something-year-old, males. And part of it honestly has to do with the fact that you're in your 20s. You're at that height of your youth, and there's that desire to just, try and get with as many women as you can possibly get with, and that's a biological imperative right there. Spread your seed, be fruitful and multiply, that sort of deal. But that kind of runs right ahead on into reality. What's reality? Just because you want to have, in this case, you want to have sex with lots of women, or just because you want to have lots of money, or you want to drive around in that, flashy sports car or whatever, or have, a 6,000 square foot home, or you want to be, Dr. So-and-so, doesn't mean that, just because you want it, you're going to get to have it. And so that's like that's reality versus your desires, you know. And that's where we get into people getting into PMO addiction, for instance. I think that's part of it. For me, it was kind of like that to a certain extent, but again, there was that sort of aspect of coping with anxiety, depression, stress, things of that nature, and learning to deal with those kinds of frustrations, the kind of boredom, the loneliness, the let's be honest, the horniness. When there's no actual, real, solid, like flesh and blood, outlet. That's part of the process. That's part of the process of life. Because I think for most guys, and this is my experience, like 99.999% of your life is not filled with opportunities to, hook up with some hot girl, or hot woman, It's just part of life. And using PMO as your outlet can kind of give you that, false sense of that false, what do you call it? The false understanding or assumption that it's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to have opportunities every single day, and why don't I have these opportunities? Life is supposed to be like that. In PMO fantasy land, I can have those opportunities, 5 times a day, 6 times a day, and when you're young in your 20s and you're frustrated, and full of that kind of angst, life, and just relationships and whatnot, like PMO can be really attractive. For me at this point, it still has the whole feeling of an escape to it, which I haven't gone off and escaped as of yet. I haven't relapsed as of yet, in other words. But there is that whole escape from the frustration, escape from the anxiety and the angst and the depression, the feelings of of a lack of fulfillment, and so on. But it's like you gotta believe in that promised land. You gotta believe in the process, and you have to believe that the longer you struggle, the longer you resist, the longer you redirect yourself towards that ultimate goal, that eventually you will be able to live that kind of a life, and one day you will have your outlet and your release. In the meantime, you have to find other ways, So for me, I'm filling those job applications, I'm reading, I don't know, I'm going to try to get my hands on the car keys and get out of the house for a little bit. I do want to start exercising, but I guess one of the things that's also holding me back is the fact that I wanted to do a vlog series on that and actually show myself, okay, I'm these many pounds at the beginning, I'm these many pounds at the end, that sort of a deal. But that's kind of excuse making to a certain extent, just like excuse making with the relapse, oh, I was bored, I was lonely, I was frustrated, I was this, I was that, I had to go do that. Well, you didn't have to, you chose to, and ultimately, even as we relapse, even as we have, slip-ups, even if we have weak moments in Nofap, the way to make the best of them is to turn them into learning moments so that you can really turn the process into something that produces results. So, despise that free lunch, realize that which is worth having, that PMO-free life, the life where you're fulfilled and you're no longer bored, lonely, frustrated, anxious, depressed, stressed out. It's not free, and it's not free because it's worth having. You're gonna have to work for it, and I'll have to work for it. I mean, it's something that I have to do every single day when I get up, even if I put in 1 or 2 applications. Even if I try to work on some project, work out, what have you, try to secure some interviews somewhere. It's just something that I have to do, it's just part of life. And maybe I'll have to go back through one of those minimum wage jobs again just to get to where I need to get, and I'll have to curb my frustrations and really just realize that, hey, you know what, maybe some folks made it seem so effortless to you, whether that was your father or your older brothers, if you had an older brother, or older brothers, or your uncles, your grandfathers, or whoever, your role models, they made it seem so effortless. Like, why is it that I'm so many years old and I don't have all these things that they said they had by the time they were 25 or whatever. But the reality is, for the majority of folks who get anywhere in life, it takes several years of long, hard work, long days, lots of work, lots of effort, lots of learning, lots of education and effort, and working smart as well as working hard, And before I close this out, I'm reminded of one of my friends from when I was at community college, and how he had to live out of his truck for a year because the abuse at his family's home got so bad. He had to live out of a truck for a year and work at Chick-fil-A's. And now he's finishing up at UCSD, working at a agri-tech startup, doing some really cutting edge work. And it's like he had to go through that. He had to go through the whole year of living out of a truck, having to wash his clothes by hand and then air dry them by hanging them from his truck. I mean, I hope I don't have to go through that kind of an extreme experience. But that's just kind of part of the process, We're not special until we make ourselves special. And if we really want to make Nofap into something for ourselves that's really life-changing, we have to be willing to go through all that hard work and the ups and the downs and the learning process and never stop, And to those of you who are considering stopping vlogging because you've relapsed or something like that, I'd say, if you do need to, dial it down a bit, okay, fine, but I really don't think that social media is the cause, or the internet is the cause. There's something deeper going on, and that's the case for myself, definitely. I do follow a lot of Nofap vloggers, and their content is the only content that I really find truly interesting on YouTube, to be honest with you, and I find it helpful to really communicate with folks, so, on YouTube via the Nofap community, so I just say, at least for viewers like myself, don't leave YouTube. So anywho, and that's it for me right now. I'll have to go back and find what the day count is, but it's 150 something, but anywho, learn to despise that free lunch, and realize that if you're going to succeed at Nofap or anything in life, it's going to require a lot, and that's because it's worth it. So anywho, something I'm having to tell myself every day. But yeah, see you folks around. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Thanks for watching my content. Hope it helps someone out there, and I'll see you folks around. Bye.